My name is Mike. I'm Jack's best man. When Jack first asked me if I would be his best man, I was filled with an overwhelming sense of pride and honor. When I found out that I was his only friend that owned a dark blue suit, then I still felt honored, but it was slightly less. When I found out that I was expected to say a few words, I only felt fear. Thank you to all of you for being able to gather here together to celebrate this wonderful day. And thank you to Jack and Casey, and to Craig and Tina Herforth for making this possible. What a wonderful location for this happy event. Now, the next 5 minutes are going to be very uncomfortable.
You started.
Once I got over the feeling of honor, the slightly lessened one, and the apprehension, I did what most of us do when we don't know where to start. I went to the internet. After an hour and a half of finding really great stuff, I realized I have speech to write, so I need to get back to it. Then it occurred to me, I've never been married. What do I know about marriage? I know nothing about marriage. My parents have been married 53 years. If I know anything about marriage, it's from the perspective of being their child. The perspective of a child. The wisdom of a child. Yes, that was the answer. So back to the internet I went. And this time, I stayed on track. Mostly. So allow me to share with you what I learned. How do you decide who to marry? Alan, age 10. You got to find somebody who likes the same stuff. Like if you like sports, she should like it that you like sports. And she should keep the chips and dip coming. Okay, but let's take a look at the female perspective maybe. Kirsten, age 10. No person really decides when they grow up who they're going to marry. God decides it all way before, and you get to find out later who you're stuck with. How can a stranger tell if two people are married? Derek, age 8. You might have to guess based on whether they seem to be yelling at the same kids. A lot of you can identify with that, I think. Yeah. And finally, how would you make a marriage work? Ricky, age 10. Tell your wife that she looks pretty, even if she looks like a truck. Wise words, Ricky. Wise words. I've known Jack since 2006 when we were rangers together in Sequoia National Park. We spent a lot of time together at work and away from work. Some of it was for the good times, and some of it was for the bad times. But it was always better for being with him. He's a courageous and calming influence. He always knew the right thing to do, or at least he faked it well. And I always knew that he had my back. He's a great ranger and an even better friend. I remember when Jack and Casey first met. Jack and I were attending a park medic refresher in Fresno. Casey was finishing her residency and she was a park medic doctor. Casey was hosting a recruitment dinner that night for the residents, and the rangers were also invited. Jack announced that he was going to go and that he wanted to expand his circle of acquaintances.
Success.
Now, while I wasn't sure exactly what that meant, I tried not to be offended. He came home very excited, and having met Casey, and they had hit it off instantly. Over the next several months, I continued to hear the term expanding my circle of acquaintances a lot. And I saw a much happier man for it. Then I met Casey, and I understood why. Casey is intelligent, fun, hardworking, motivated, funny, and beautiful. And she must be very patient, very forgiving to have made it to this day. In short, she is far too good for Jack. At this point, I'm supposed to cite a famous quotation. But the one I have chosen is virtually identical to what Jack told me when I asked him what being married meant to him. A good marriage is each for the other and two against the world. See, I was going to go get a glass, but... So please join me and let's raise a toast to the bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Correo, wishing them a long and happy marriage, to love, to laughter, to happily ever after.
Woo! Woo!